Hi, it's Steve. Today we're going to show you how to change the tub to pump hose on your front load washer. And that's a really easy job. All we're going to need is a 1/4" nut driver, a flat blade screwdriver, and perhaps a small flat blade screwdriver. We'll also need a pair of slip joint pliers and some channel lock pliers, an adjustable wrench, and maybe a pair of side cutters. Let me show you how we do it. Now, to do this repair, we will need to, first of all, disconnect the power to the washer. Then we'll also want to pull it far enough forward that we can access the back of the washer so that we can remove some screws securing the top panel. And we'll start with taking those 3 screws out. So using a 1/4" nut driver, remove those 3 screws, pull the top panel back about 1/2 inch, and then lift it off and set it aside. Now next we're going to remove 3 more screws across the bottom of the lower access panel, and then 1 more in the center. And you'll need to support that panel as you remove the last screw. Then just tilt it out, let it drop down, and set it aside. Now next, before we remove that hose, we'll want to remove the button trap or clean out on the pump. So you'll need a container to collect some water, and there'll be a fair bit in there. And you'll also want a rag or a towel to wipe up any excess. So using a adjustable wrench, we're just going to get a good grip on this tab on the front and rotate it counterclockwise, unthread it completely, and carefully pull that out, having your container there to collect any water. Remove the button trap and any items that might be in that. It's a good time to clean that out. And make sure that there's nothing in that pump area as well. So we need to remove the clamp at the bottom of the tub. So to press that and just pull it down. And then we'll remove the one on the back of the pump. Now next we'll need to remove this air dome tube from the pressure switch, and we'll also need to release that wire tie or cut it, replace it. And we'll try to release it first, just using a little flat blade screwdriver. And we can just pivot this pressure switch backwards enough that we can access the end of that hose. And with a flat blade screwdriver, just gently slide that off. And then we can pull the whole assembly out through from the bottom at the front. Now we can pull that old hose out of the washer. Now with the old hose assembly removed from the washer, we're just going to carefully remove this wire tie from the end here. Now, there's probably not enough excess to reuse it, so you may want to just cut it, but make sure you have a replacement, and then just carefully snip that and remove it. And then this foam cushion has an adhesive back on it. So we're going to carefully roll that out of there. And then we're going to pull that nozzle out of the end of that hose very carefully. Now next, we'll remove the clamp from the end of the hose. We'll set that aside. We'll also remove the clamp that attached to the pump. And then we have a device in here called an echo ball. You have an option to either use it or not use it, but it will just pop up through that opening. And use caution when working in this area because some things tend to get down into that hose and you may find a sharp object in there. So once we've removed that, we'll discard the old hose. Just take that ball and we're going to force it down into that opening and then just let it set in there. Now next, we can reinstall that outlet. Make sure it's pushed firmly in so it butts up against the flange. We can roll that foam down into position and then we'll reinstall a new wire tie. We'll just fit that replacement wire tie around the end there. Snug it up tight, trim off the excess, and we can fit the clamp over the large end of that hose. And if it's all possible, pull that down below the area where it will actually sit, because we will need to get this hose around the bottom of the tub. Now once we've got that clamp roughly into position, it's a good idea to moisten the inside edge of that new hose because it is quite sticky. So either just water or a little mixture of dish detergent and water just to lubricate it. And also take note of this little tab that will line up with an indicator point on the bottom of the tub. And also slide the clamp on the pump end of that hose, and again you'll see a little indicator notch that will line up with the top of the pump. And now we'll put the whole assembly back into the washer. So we're just going to push that assembly back into roughly the right position. And then we'll start by installing the end of the hose that attaches to the pump first. Line up that tab in the 12 o'clock position. We'll reach in with our pliers and pull that clamp up into position. Once we've got that clamp into its proper position, we'll again check that hose and pull it up tight against the bottom of the tub. And just make sure that the arrow is lined up properly. And then we can fish the air dome tube up through the side of the cabinet and reattach it at the top. Pull that hose up through, making sure that we tuck it in behind the spring. And we can push it onto the end of that pressure switch first to hold it there. And we can rotate that down into position. And we're going to line up that clamp on the side of the tub. Now if you have a new wire tie, it's simply a matter of pushing that through that opening. Or if we're reusing the old one, we need to be able to get enough access on that. Now we just grab the end of that wire tie with a pair of needle-nose pliers, line it up and make sure it's secure. Next we'll reinstall the button trap. We need to line up this little indicator in the 12 o'clock position, and we'll slide straight in till the thread's engaged, and then we'll tighten it clockwise. And you may need to use your adjustable wrench to tighten at the last portion. It should come around to the stop comes up against here on the 3 o'clock position. Now next we'll reinstall the lower access panel, making sure that the flanged edge here fits in behind the front panel. Hold Hold it up into position. We'll install the one screw in the center first, and then the two outside ones. And tighten those securely. And now we'll go and put the main top back on. So we'll take that main top, we'll line it up side to side, and set it down about a ½ inch back from the console. Push it forward to engage the front. And then install the 3 retaining screws at the back. Tighten those securely. We're now ready to reconnect to power, push the washer back into position, and our repair is complete.